Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and today I'm joined by Maevina. So, Maevina, how do you deal when the shit gets real? Or just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, deal with it. I don't know. Sometimes you just shove it in a freaking box or in a jar and, throw it away until later. No, like dealing with it, that really is a loaded question, especially depending on the topic,
It is a loaded
what you're
question.
dealing with.
I always love asking it because obviously it's the name of the podcast and it kind of throws people, which is why I also do that and then say, like, or just introduce yourself. But it always gets people thinking, which is why I like it.
It really does. It really does. It's a self-reflection, though. I mean, like, it's a deep thinker one there.
And we're obviously going to get into that. But yes, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, oh gosh, the about me's the
I
bane
know
of
it's
my
hard.
existence. Those little itty bitty sections, on social media sites where we've got to like describe ourselves in a few lines. Let's see. How do I describe myself? I am a mother, a daughter. I am an artist of all sorts. I'm almost 40 years old. Blah. Um,
Girl, I feel that. Me too.
yeah, I'm looking forward and not looking forward to, the 40. Like I just want the gray hairs. Like, come on, give me those. Like, I
Oh
don't have
God.
those yet.
I'll give you some of mine. That's fine. I'll share.
Let's see. I have a laundry list of chronic illnesses that I deal with regularly and trying to do support for people with those. Yeah, besides that, I mean, there's not too much that's horribly special about me. My about me is kind of small.
Hey, I it's more special than you probably think it is. When are you turning 40? We can bond over when we turn 40. How about that?
I am turning 40 the last day of May.
Last day of May. Okay, I dig it. Let's see, May. I was gonna act like I knew what the zodiac was, and then my
I
brain
am a
went.
Gemini.
Awesome, you're a Gemini. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, I'll let you know how it goes. I turn 40 in February, so
Oh, beginning or end?
I'm like right in the middle of 16th. So
Ooh, I still think that makes you an Aquarius, though.
it does make you Aquarius. Good job. See, look at you did it.
Well, see, I have two Aquarius. My oldest son is an Aquarius, and my mother was an Aquarius too. So,
Oh, see, there you go. There you go.
yeah.
Um, so you did touch on it very briefly that you've been dealing with a long list of diseases for a long time. So how did that all come about? Did it, they just, I can't imagine they all hit you at once, at least. Lord, I hope not.
Oh gosh, let's see. Uh, I was sick for a really long time and like from birth having symptoms and it was always brushed off that like I was a hypochondriac because my pain levels were so high and the extracurriculars I was in made things more complicated over time. Um, so I had symptoms when I was young, but didn't actually get diagnosed until I was, in my mid 20s to early 30s with my medical conditions. And yeah, they kind of, I was diagnosed them back to back.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, and the way I was diagnosed with the one that impacts me the most was actually in a really unique way. My daughter tested positive for a rare genetic disorder, and we didn't know where it had come from.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I was like, some of the symptoms line up with the adult onset version of this. Let's go ahead and, take me to a geneticist because I had a whole bunch of like medical stuff that had no answers. And the geneticist walked in. She's like, I can guarantee you don't have this, but can I look at your skin and your hands? And I was like, what? And she's like, can I look at your skin and hands? And so I gave her my hands and she started like, feeling my skin and pulling the skin up off my hands and doing what's called the bite and scale test. I don't know if you know anything about that one. It tests your flexibility.
I have not heard of it, but you
Yeah.
just give a generalized idea, so that's helpful.
Yeah. So they like pull back your fingers and see how far they go back and like how stretchy you are if you're double jointed or anything like that. And they do it with, multiple like large joints in your body. And she's like, I can tell you what's wrong with you though. And once I was diagnosed with that, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome hypermobility type, I was then diagnosed with fibromyalgia and a bunch of other things that go along with it because it's like got a lot of co-occurring disorders.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, and then like a week later, I found out I had a tumor on my thyroid, and come to find out it was thyroid cancer a few years later.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a couple weeks after that, I was diagnosed with dopa responsive dystonia, which is similar to Parkinson's disease.
I'm glad you said that because that was a lot of words. My
Yep.
brain on a Friday, my brain was like, "What?"
Yeah. So the treatment for dopa responsive dystonia is similar to Parkinson's. You take Cinemet, which is levodopa and carbidopa. Um,
So you're
and
telling us you have a really fun medicine cabinet.
actually, a little over a year ago, I decided to get off of all of the meds that affect, like, that deal with like my neurological conditions. So, like the dope responsive
Oh,
dystonia. And I got off my seizure medications too to see where I was.
good
And
for
I
you.
know a lot of people are like, oh, that's so bad for you. But I titrated off of it. I knew what I was doing. Um,
And
I
did that
wanted
help?
to, yeah, I wanted to go more like holistic with it and more, natural because those medications can really alter your chemistry and not in a fun way.
I bet.
So,
And it made a
yeah.
difference going off of it?
It made a difference in a lot of ways. It was rough initially. Where it actually made the most difference, though, was an area I wasn't really expecting.
Oh, okay.
So, this is going to be a segue point. My ex-husband was gaslighting me in regards to my medication. One of the medications I was on was Keppra, and it can cause a little bit of mood issues, like it can cause you to be a little bit angrier.
Okay.
And a lot of what I dealt with my ex was related to him telling me I was angry when I wasn't. So I got off all the meds without him knowing to see where I was sitting and see if he noticed. And there was no difference. So,
Mm,
yeah.
that's a good way to, test out what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it was unfortunate that that was the case, but
It is
I,
unfortunate.
I do I do feel better overall physically being off of them as well because there are lots of side effects to those medications.
So what have you found holistically that's worked really well for you? Maybe it'll work for someone else.
Um, there is, I can't remember the name of it. There is a naturally derived form of levodopa. It's based off of a bean. I can pull it up, but I'm gonna butcher the name of it. Uh,
As long as you give us the generalized idea, Google works,
yeah,
ChatGPT works.
yeah. It's like it's a bean that is put into supplements, and it's naturally derived levodopa. And then I do an awful lot of meditation and working primarily on my nervous system. So
So important.
yeah, it really is.
It's very important. I've had several guests talk about it. So, you're just
It
more proof that it works.
Yeah, it really does. There's nothing more freeing than being able to calm your nervous system when you've been stuck in that fight or flight for most of your life. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I've talked to many people about that as well, and not saying this is your case, but a lot of times because we are stuck in fight, flight, or freeze for so long, that's where some of these diseases come from because it's your body's way of saying, hello, if you're not going to pay attention to me now, I'm going to give you another reason to pay attention to me.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I mean, like our body starts breaking down. People don't realize how much that nervous system being activated in that way affects us physically. Like it's a full-on breakdown.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a nice segue because I know we talked about it a little bit that you went off meds and previously you battled with addiction. So, how did you transition? I don't want to say transition, that's not really the right word. How did you finally get away from your battle with addiction as well?
So the addiction was actually pretty quick and final for me when I was younger. Um, it literally came down to me choosing the drugs or my children, and that was not a question for me. So in a lot of ways, I had my priorities straight. I know that a lot of people with addiction struggle with that, and it's really hard for them. I also was honest about it with people around me versus keeping it a secret. I told my mother that I was struggling with it and told my father, and I told them that I needed help. So, I mean, there was a lot of shame related to that. And of course, for years later, every type of like behavioral shift was, blamed on that. But yeah, because I had issues with alcohol and methamphetamines. Um, and it's made my relationship with certain other things. I mean, like, 'cause my chronic illness causes a lot of pain.
Right.
I don't take pain meds unless I absolutely have to because I know how easy it is to fall into that addiction again. And pill related addiction is huge in my family. Lots of people have struggled with abusing pain medication. So for me, that was like a non option. When I've had to go on pain meds, it's been like very regulated. I don't take it unless I'm at my, my end point with it. Like I can't stand any more pain. So,
Well, good for you on many levels there. First of all, being able to recognize that your children are more important because, like you said, that's not always easy when you're, and I can't, I mean, I'm just saying from what I've seen, I've never dealt with addiction, so I can't speak for it firsthand, but you, if you've seen addiction in any form, a lot of them do struggle with even picking their children over the drugs. So good for you on that
yeah, well,
aspect.
I mean, if you think about it as it's a coping mechanism. I mean, that's what it is. And a lot of
That's
people
true.
don't view it as that. So I mean, like addiction, food can be an addiction. So there are a lot more people that are struggling with addiction that don't even realize that they're addicted to things. And I classify all of it as one thing versus, signifying drug addiction, alcohol addiction, whatever. I have a bad relationship with food, not so much like the addiction portion, like the I don't eat portion. So I got another issue there. But
No, and that's a good point because I think a lot of us are addicted to social media.
oh yeah, for sure. That dopamine hit, I've been running across that a lot lately in the lives I've been in and the people that I've met. Um, you can just tell that they're there for that dopamine hit. Like they're there for that drug. And it's really sad to see because a lot of them are ex-addicts. And I'm just like, you're just replacing one fuel with another. It's like, are you actually doing the work? Are you actually recovering if you're just replacing?
Yeah, that is a very valid point. So, for anybody that is struggling with addiction, what advice would you give them?
Choose yourself, make yourself a priority. I think that a lot of us forget that at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all have our own battles, our own struggles, especially with self worth. And the individuals that I've known that have gone down this path, that is their biggest issue. They don't see their worth. They don't feel like they have any other options. Just see your worth. Know that you're worth it. Even if you're, at your lowest, you're still worth it. Keep on going.
That's a good reminder. I agree with you that I think we all struggle with it. I still do sometimes. Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're like, "Ugh, why?"
For sure. I totally hear you there. There are days where it's like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do this thing. And there are days where I don't. There are days where I have to give myself grace and understanding that, I just can't get out of bed today. That's just not going to be the thing.
Yeah, that's not going to be the thing. Yeah. Um, and I know it's hard for like other family members too. So do you have any advice for family members that are dealing maybe with somebody who has an addiction or is just struggling?
So this is a little bit twofold because there's a lot wrapped up in that. Um, if the person that is the addict is abusive in any way towards you, set boundaries, clear cut boundaries. If you need to, remove yourself. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people, but sometimes it's better for the addict to see that their choices are not going to be tolerated, that they're not going to be accepted. Allowing yourself to be accepting and loving and right there the whole time without those boundaries puts you into a codependent enabler situation, which makes it worse for the addict. It's a vicious cycle and it just feeds the beast and it's not healthy for either party. Um, and come at it from a place of love. Like all of it, even when you have to set boundaries, come at it from a place of love. Like, I mean, you still love that person even though they're struggling. And remember that.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. I'm sure it's probably hard sometimes when you're watching somebody that you care about kind of destroy their life to remember that you still, like, love and care about them because they probably don't seem like the same person.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I had to step away from my friendship earlier this year with my friend who we've been friends since the early 2000s, and I couldn't watch her destroy her life, so I had to take a step back.
That's something that they don't talk about enough as you go into adulthood, how sometimes you lose these friendships that you just have adored and friendships that you expected to have forever, and that you think, "Oh, we've been friends for 20 years, we're always gonna be friends," and that's just not the case.
Yeah, and it's hard.
It
It's
is
hard
hard.
to well, it's hard to make that decision. I mean, for me, like, especially this year and moving on, like, for for the rest of time, I've been doing a lot of choosing me, and I because I haven't enough, and I hated making that decision to choose myself and to choose my sanity and to choose, my mental health, because it tears me up watching her go through that, watching her deal with that, and I can't do anything to help her. That's it's hard. It's hard to make that decision.
Yeah, but you made a good point about choosing your sanity. I mean,
Mhm.
what kind of help are you gonna be if you're both just in this
Yeah.
chaos together? It's not serving either one of you.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's hard for sure. Something that I was definitely looking forward to chatting with you about, because I haven't talked about it a lot, and that was one of the reasons we connected on TikTok, is that your mom was diagnosed with ALS. My dad was recently diagnosed with ALS within the past year. I know you know it's so hard. Um, so I
Yeah.
just would love to hear like how you dealt with it. Just the whole thing. Anything you want to share. Look at I'm already gonna start tearing up.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be a rough conversation. I haven't like a few people know, but like the details from like the beginning to the end are real rough. My mom started displaying like neurological symptoms and like years before. And yes, she was diagnosed with ALS, but she was also diagnosed with dementia and had had a couple of strokes after her diagnosis. So it was pretty complicated. But I noticed like the memory issues from the dementia about 5 years before anybody else did. And
Isn't that crazy how that happens? But I mean, you know your mom probably
well,
better than anyone.
it's not so much that I know my mom. My mom called me and she said, I feel like I'm going crazy. I lost my wallet 3 times this week.
Oh,
I need you
okay.
to come home. And I was like, okay, because I was living out of state at the time. So I came home and she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, all right. That was my first big clue in that there was something very wrong.
Oh,
But
I bet that
everybody,
made your heart sink.
it did. And it was really difficult because everybody kind of like just brushed me off. And I was like, okay, well, and then it just started happening more and more. Like she'd lose her keys. She backed up into the mailbox, like little things here and there. And I'm just like, maybe we should look at this a little bit further. So they just kept on going and like, kept on like pseudo ignoring it. And it got to a point where she started like slurring her speech a little bit.
Mhm.
And she started having issues with like vocally and a little bit of swallowing related issues.
Mhm.
And I was tasked with being with her because she was starting to get confused too while my dad was working because he worked the crush every year overnight at a winery. So he wanted to make sure she didn't get up, out of bed and go wander off in the middle of the night. So
Which is very common for dementia patients. My grandfather had dementia, and it's
yeah,
crazy how all of them, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, they're like, "I wanna go home," and it's like, "You are home."
yeah. Well, for her, it was she would go walk the dog, and then she'd get confused, and it was like literally just down the street, like, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, um, but yeah. So I stayed with them, and I we went to I went with her to her primary care doctor. And I was very close with the primary care doctor because she used to be my doctor, and I did some medical research for her because I had access to peer reviewed literature. She didn't. So we kind of had a conversation without having a conversation. It's like one of those read between the line conversations.
Mhm.
And after we left that appointment, I told my dad, I said, we need to take her to the hospital. She needs to be admitted. And I said, and you need to just let me do what I need to do. Because it was an insurance thing. A lot of it was that insurance problem. We weren't getting anywhere because insurance says you have to do this step, this step, this step. And
Yep.
it's just so hard getting through that red tape. You can see there's something wrong, there's something wrong, but you have to force the situation. So we went to the ER. I told them what was going on. I told them what I had noticed that was different and that she had to be evaluated. The doctor at the ER was trying to release her. I said, I'm not leaving this hospital. She is not leaving this hospital until we have some kind of answers. So they admitted her. She was originally diagnosed with myasthenia gravis and treated for it.
That's funny. My dad was too. That he wasn't treated for, but that was the original thing he was diagnosed with as well.
Yeah. The doctor at the time was one of my previous neurologists, and so we had a decent rapport. And he's just like, I'm just going to medicate her because the medication's not going to hurt her. Let's go ahead and see if this works. And I was like, okay, let's go. It didn't work. My dad and my sister wanted it to work, but it didn't. And I understand why they wanted it to work. My mom's mom had ALS as well, so like they had already seen what that looks like.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that was what was wrong with her, and I was pretty sure that she had dementia or possibly Alzheimer's. One of the two. I wasn't entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
But something had to be done because every once in a while she'd start speaking, Native American language, which she hasn't spoken since she was 3, and none of us knew what she was saying. So like something was very much wrong. Yeah, something was very much wrong with her brain.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it took I want to say like 6 months until she got into Stanford. And then I want to say it was another couple months after that because they wanted to do a whole bunch of testing and everything else. Come to find out, she doesn't even have the genetic form of it, which they thought that she did because her mother also had it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So just happenstance, I guess, unless it's their specific genetics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I then had to move to Oklahoma. So they were in California and I was in Oklahoma. And so her decline started happening pretty bad when I moved. I moved in November of 2018. And by May of 2019, she couldn't speak. Like, I mean, it was going to the point where I couldn't talk to her on the phone. She could hardly sing happy birthday to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then plans were made during that visit because during that visit, my mom fell when my dad and my mom went to visit my cousin. My mom fell and broke her shoulder.
Oh goodness.
So yeah, she lost the ability to use her legs and just landed on her shoulder. And my mom at that point thought that I was her mom.
Oh.
So that's 2019. We're dealing with that level of decline dementia-wise. She reverted to like a more toddler-like state. And then the swallowing and the talking and speech and stuff just kept going and declining. Luckily, my mom knew sign language, and so do I, finger spelling, so it's enough to get by.
There you go.
And that's how we communicated for the first little bit. And then in 2020, after like the COVID stuff, so at the end of 2020, September, my mom moved here. My whole family did. My mom, my sister, my dad. They all moved to Oklahoma, bought 2 houses. And the plan was for me to just go over and take care of my mom during the day at the house until She had to come and stay with me for a few days so that they could remodel the bathroom at my dad's house, and didn't want to leave.
Well,
So she ended up just living with us. I mean, we live on the other side of the railroad tracks, so it's not that far. But yeah, things became a lot more difficult at that point. Her mental decline, and at this point in time she couldn't speak at all. Um and with the dementia and the nature of it, she was shorthand using finger spelling for sign language. And ever when I tell people that, they're like, how did you even know what she was saying? I'm like, I just knew. I was the only one that could communicate with her at that point in time.
now I understand what you're saying because even my dad's pretty much at the point where he doesn't really speak anymore. Occasionally he'll try, but he's pretty much at the point where he doesn't speak. But before he stopped, even how it is that it starts to get really hard to understand, like you talked about, because when he was still working, somebody reported him for being drunk because
Yep.
when it first started, that's exactly when you described it. I was like, that's exactly how it sounded when it started.
Yeah.
But he had come into my house. Him and I had a conversation. And he left, and my husband was like, "I I don't understand how you understood a single word that he said." I'm like, "I don't. He's my dad. I don't know. I just did."
Yeah. Part of it, like with my mom, is that I could just look at her in the eyes and I knew exactly what she wanted. Like,
Hmm.
I intuitively just knew what she needed. And like there were days where it was super hard for her. Like she had to stop going to church.
Hmm.
Even doing like the watching it online, because the moment they would start singing, she would break down because she couldn't sing anymore.
Oh no.
And yeah, it was devastating. It was so difficult for me. Um, because with my dystonia, I lost my ability to speak, so I knew how she felt, and I was there. Like I knew that loss. I knew that feeling, and to watch my mom go through that, that was super tough.
Did she
But
deal with a lot of saliva as well?
she did, but they also had her on a boatload of medication, so it was like half saliva, half dry mouth.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
yeah, there was no happy medium at all. Oh,
See, my
yeah,
dad's having the opposite where like everything they're trying to help with the saliva either doesn't work or causes a side effect that's even worse, and he's like, "Uh-uh."
yeah. So for her, like, so my mom, she broke her shoulder when she came to visit, but within like a month and a half after she moved in, she fell and broke her shoulder and her hip. So she
Oh,
was on,
no.
yeah, so she had to
Oh.
have her hip replaced, and wanted to come back home and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I brought her home even though it was going to be really difficult. We ended up having to get like one of those the hoist, movers
Mhm.
and everything else. But
This poor sweet woman.
oh yeah, no, she went through it, and like I blamed myself so much, but she was trying to be mobile and I was trying to let her be mobile. And, yeah, it was,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say knock on wood, but it doesn't matter because as you know, it continues to there's no stopping it.
yeah.
Um, but it has not affected my dad's limbs yet. It's all throat, mouth,
Yeah.
chewing, swallowing.
I think that the reason why my mom's limbs were so affected, because she had contractures from the stroke on her left side, her left arm.
Mhm.
And I think that the strokes, because when she moved here, she had had a stroke and the family didn't realize it.
Oh, okay.
I took one look at her when she got off the plane. I'm like, she's had a stroke. I'm like, come on, like you guys.
Oh.
Her left hand was completely like, pulled in tight. Couldn't open up her hand. Like it was very evident for me at least. I guess they might have just been too close to it. But
I know what you're talking about because watched my grandma saw my grandma have one in front of my eyes, and the first thing that happened, which I didn't even realize was a thing, because they lose depth perception. She went to sit on
mhm.
the couch and she missed.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened to her. She went to go sit on her recliner and she missed. And they just brushed it off as she fell. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit weird. Like, is she losing like ability with her legs? Like I was like associating with the, the ALS stuff. And nope, it was very much a stroke. And we got confirmation of that later because the doctors wanted to reevaluate her when she got here. And I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a reevaluation too, just to know what I was looking at. Because she started getting better living here for the first little bit.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, is this actually like a firm diagnosis? Like, are we sure that this is what's going on? Let's go ahead and like, make sure that that's the case. But and we had a great team of doctors here. Like they were actually a lot more helpful, a lot more
That's a
thorough than, even Stanford, which I was kind of surprised by. But we went to Integris Medical in Oklahoma City, and they are a phenomenal team. They deal with anything like neuromuscular related, and they are great people. Um,
it is very helpful when you have a good team and a team that cares and is
well, for
trying to
sure.
do the
And
best
you
they
don't,
can.
yeah. And in this situation, you don't have to go everywhere. Like they have like
Yeah.
their in-house physical, they have their in-house respiratory therapist. Like everything is in-house. Like your entire team for your neuromuscular stuff is all right there.
Yes.
So we had a very close relation. Okay, let me rephrase that. I had a very close relationship with all of the team.
There you go. Yeah, there's actually, an ALS clinic near us here, which is really helpful.
Yeah, they were wonderful. They were great people, and I loved talking to them. I mean, I don't know if your dad is to this point, but my mom had a BiPAP for breathing. Um,
No, not yet.
yeah, and then we
And,
had
that's not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. That's actually one of the things that's been hard is he doesn't want any sort of intervention. He doesn't want a feeding tube, he doesn't want a breathing machine, he doesn't want a breathing tube, he doesn't want any of that.
yeah, that's rough. My mom I know you and I talked about this a little bit. My mom didn't want a feeding tube until it got to the point where she couldn't eat anymore. And then she asked for one. By that point in time, it was too late.
Mhm.
And so it was just like, and I tried to explain it to her. I said, like, these are the circumstances you're looking at. Like, this is the reality. And, I,
That was the one nice thing about the doctor here. She was like, "Listen, you only have a certain amount of time because when your lungs get weak, we can't put you
yeah,
under anesthesia. So if you want it," and she's like, "And if you don't like it, you don't have to use it.
yeah, you can take it out. You don't have to use
Yeah,
it, but
take it
having it
out or
there,
don't use it."
yeah.
Or and he actually joked about it a lot at first and kinda did consider it. He's like, "Oh, I could just pour vodka straight into my feeding tube."
Oh my gosh,
And
that's hilarious.
we're like, "Whatever makes you happy." And, it was nice to see that his sense of humor is still around,
Yeah,
so that was good, but, he's changed his mind since then, and there's a part of me that can't blame him. I
yeah,
don't think I would want to live like that either, um, but as his daughter, it's hard.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, the BiPAP machine, it's kind of like a CPAP, but it does the in and out.
Gotcha.
So it forces the air in and then it pulls it out as well.
Makes sense
So,
with the BiPAP,
mhm,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. The respiratory therapists, they were awesome. It got to the point where like I could just call them and say, "Hey, yo, I need to change your levels," and we were right on it. I knew how to do everything on there. And then my daughter, who was like 11, 12 at the time, oh, she was like my biggest help. We had a choke machine, a choke assist machine, because my mom started, having problems with the swallowing to the point where she was choking.
Mhm.
And my daughter wanted to be involved. And now, when I tell you she wanted to be involved, this girl at this age was already reading like college level anatomy textbooks. She was homeschooled, so she had a lot of love and desire for the medical field at that time. And
Amazing.
yeah, she was quicker than I was with that machine, man. I'm telling you. There were a couple of times where like I just couldn't get to it quick enough. She's like, "I got it, mom." I'm like, "Okay." But that machine also does therapy. So it does like a hard suck. So it helps with that motion of, clearing things and using the lungs correctly and the diaphragm and whatnot. So she would do her therapy with that and
Was it
help
kinda
when needed.
scary to use that machine? I feel like it would be kinda scary. I don't know.
I kind of feel like the entire time I was in a fever dream. And I'm not gonna lie.
That's
Like
fair.
I was so dedicated to the medical aspect of it. Like that was my primary function, making sure that the hospice nurses came over, that people, because initially we did not have hospice care. And I was I was doing like all the bathing on my own and everything else. And when she came home from the hospital after breaking her shoulder and her hip, I lifted her myself one evening to help her go to the bathroom to do a transfer, and I tore my shoulder.
Oh, no.
Um, yeah.
Oh,
So a shoulder, mind you, that I've ignored until earlier this year. So my mom passed away in 2021, and I did not have surgery for my shoulder that was torn until May of this
oh
year.
goodness.
Yeah. So
Well, you did finally get there.
I did eventually, but yeah, no. I got to the point where I was just like, I cannot keep bathing her myself. I like we have a handicap accessible shower. It's huge. Like it wasn't that I didn't have the facility. I could not physically do it anymore. And so,
Yeah. Well, moving essentially, dead weight,
mhm,
that's not easy.
yeah. And so we started having an aide come in twice a week for showers. And a nurse came in once a week for a check of everything and to redo meds. So like everything switched over to all of her medication came from the doctor from the hospice facility, and it's pretty much just make her comfortable. And
Yeah.
it was really hard for my sister, my dad to like understand what that meant, because
Mhm.
they kept trying to like crush up her like levothyroxine and like all of her other meds for like maintenancing of other things. I'm like,
Mhm.
we don't really need to do that at this point. Like
Right, right.
we're to the point where, let's just make her comfortable versus trying to deal with her thyroid condition. Like
Yeah.
that's not something we necessarily need to take care of right now.
Yeah. And that's still hard, but
It is. It was very difficult, and we tried everything, the whole like with the swallowing stuff, thickener, thicket. I would like to say that that was like helpful, but it really wasn't.
I mean, you gotta be honest. It's all good.
I know that Thicket works great for other people, and like I was online and in support groups trying to figure out how to help my mom with all of her stuff. Thicker liquids helped, but for her, the Thicket, it made it kind of like slimy and weird, and she wouldn't drink it,
Ugh. I wouldn't either if I were
right?
her.
So we stuck to stuff like, m- my mom had a mild obsession with yogurt. So we would put
My dad does
protein
too.
powder. Yeah, we would put protein powder in yogurt, and she would eat that. She also loved applesauce.
Can't go wrong. Applesauce is good.
Yep. Um, let's see. What else did we do? We did so much. We tried so much. You know those baby food like and like the older kid like fruit pack squeeze things?
Yes, my son loved those when he was little.
Yeah, we got to the point where we were using those. And
You gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, for sure. Like she
That
lost so much weight.
that was one thing I think my mom and I were not prepared for, was how much weight he was gonna lose. And from
Yep.
what I've read, not only is it, because of the ALS, it actually speeds up their metabolism.
Mhm.
So it's not just because he can't eat as much, because he actually eats a decent amount. It's because the metabolism sped up. So you're like battling it twofold.
Yep. Well, and my mom had a real rough go because, oh, bless her heart. My mom has been obsessed with her weight and like maintaining a certain weight forever. And like my dad kind of was in that mindset of, oh, we need to make sure that, like, and I looked at him because he it was so funny because she wanted chicken nuggets and he's like, again. And I'm like, Dad, she's at end of life. Let's just give her what she wants.
Yeah.
If she wants to drink Yoo-Hoos and eat chicken nuggets, it's getting the calories in her. Like, if that's what she wants, give it to her. And
Yep.
he's like, but her weight, she's gonna be so upset. I'm like, she's not gonna care. I'm like, honestly, let's not worry about that. And I'm glad that I did that because she did gain some weight before she started the drop off. The drop
Mhm.
off was quick though. It was real quick.
Yeah, that's my mom too. She's so "He's so skinny, he's so skinny." I'm like, "I know, mom, but he's eating. He's eating the best he can. He's still moving. He's still exercising. Like,
Yeah.
we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
doing the best we can.
And
And
that's really all you can do. I mean, and it's such an unforgiving disease too. Gosh, it really is. Like I know watching my mom and like just her being like essentially trapped in her own body, like that alone, seeing that alone
mhm.
and not being able to express yourself. I mean, like we even got Team Gleason. We had a specialist come and try to give my mom like an iPad so that she could communicate with everybody else. And she was already too far gone to even be able to do that at that point. But being trapped like that, like I can imagine because I've been there. It's not fun. It's terrifying not
Yeah.
being able to communicate your basic needs.
Yeah.
Like we had so sign language for B. I don't know if you know anything about sign language, but sign language for B is super easy. So my mom would like put up the B hand sign and like just shake it when she needed to go to the bathroom.
Oh, see, there you go.
And then like when she wanted to shower, she would just put her fingers like above her head and just like move them around like as if water is hitting her head for when she wanted to shower. Like that was the way we had to communicate. And oh gosh, it was so
Even my dad
difficult.
kind of does that now. I went over and I have hair extensions that I put in every so often, and he just kind of went like, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, do you like? And he just,
Yep.
so I totally get that too. But it brings to a perfect point, and I would love to hear what you have to say. What advice or what you would tell somebody who's dealing with a family member who's ill, and it doesn't necessarily need to be ALS, just any sort of illness that they might be dealing with. What would you tell them?
Actually, a few things. The first thing is record them talking to you. One of the very first things I did after my mom passed is I had all of my family members call my phone and leave a voicemail telling me how much they loved me. Because not being able to hear my mom's voice was the hardest part. Not hearing her tell me that she loved me, that was really rough. That was rough. That's one. And even though it is super painful and a lot of people are like, don't do this, document the ugly, document the bad. Take pictures with those loved ones. You're going to regret it later if you don't. Like, yes, I can see my mom get sicker and sicker in those photos, but I am so grateful that I had those silly moments with her, that my kids had those silly moments with her, even though, she wasn't the same person that, I grew up with. I still appreciate those videos and those pictures.
No, I'm glad you said that because I actually got my dad this little, I guess it would be a journal for Christmas, and it gives him prompts to tell like stories from his life
Oh,
so
yeah.
that I have stories. And no, I did kind of worry. I'm like, is this kind of morbid? And then I was like, forget it. I don't freaking care.
One of my favorite things that we offered, and not very many people did it, but the ones that did, they were just so beautiful. We did an all call to everyone who knew my mother when she passed to send stories of who she was and what she meant to them. And
I love that.
the ones that we got back, and we were going to combine all of them into like a book and give the people, you know, the opportunity to like, okay, the people that like gave us the stories, they were going to get a free one, but like have a book for other people that knew her that they could purchase, and all of the proceeds were going to go to the ALS Foundation. But not very many people responded to that. So we only had a couple, but the couple that we did have were so heartfelt. They were my mom's really good friends. And
That's a
it was,
beautiful idea. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I love it.
it was amazing and it was so wonderful. And we got to share some of them at her funeral. And yeah, which that was hard in itself. I don't know how you deal with grief, but I don't deal with it very well.
It's funny you said that because I thought I dealt with it pretty well, but once my dad was diagnosed, it's like you said, there are days that I don't even want to get out of bed. And there are days the first thing I wonder when I wake up is he still alive?
So for me, the day my mom died, so this is a 5-day long process. She woke up my birthday, um, ashen. She was still breathing, but she wasn't pushing air well enough. And I was woken up because we were doing night shift at that point in time. So I was sleeping. It was in the morning, but I was woken up and they're like, you need to come in here. And I changed her settings on her BiPAP and she started regaining color. But within, like a day, she was in a coma. And then she had her, resurgence, woke up in the middle of the night one night and we all spent time with her. And so on the 5th of June, I woke up that morning. The nurse came over. I knew my mom had pneumonia and I knew my mom had thrush. And I was like, all right, we can give her medicine. I was so much in denial. Like my rational brain was just like I just couldn't deal. So it was a really, really rough day. And like I was in denial hardcore. Um she already had death rattle at that point in time. Like it was a matter of hours and I was still on this whole I can fix this.
Yeah, we're so, I don't want to say programmed, but we're so just like determined as humans and people that love and care to just fix things, and just
Yeah.
sometimes we just can't.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole day was just so incredibly traumatizing for me in a way because she was in a coma. The nurse came over, said she was going to stay in a coma because I asked that question. I'm like, is she going to wake back up? Like, are they going to be able to say goodbye to her while she's conscious? And they're like, no, she's already had that. And I was like, oh crap, all right. Like I feel bad that my dad and my sister missed that, but at the same time I think that would have been harder for them because when she came to, she was a whole lot better. Like she was eating, she was swallowing just fine. Like it was a completely different person. It was I knew what it was,
Yeah.
but yeah, the day she passed, we were watching her favorite movies, so like The King and I and Sound of Music and everything else while she was, in her bed. And then we switched it to music. I told my sister, I'm like, go ahead and go get some sun because it was almost nighttime. Sun was getting ready to set. I was like, go outside, go get some sun, go touch some grass, go breathe, take a break. And my mom was starting to get more uncomfortable. Like her breathing was getting worse and worse. And I messaged the nurse and I asked if I could give her a little bit extra morphine to like, just help her be more comfortable. And he gave me one of the read between the line text messages.
As a doctor probably has to, because he's
Yep,
got to
yep,
cover his booty.
for sure. Um, just explaining to me what would happen. Like I knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited about 10 minutes and I gave her a little bit extra morphine. And I want to say it was like 10 minutes after that. It wasn't long. You
Yeah.
know the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but it's done by the guy with the ukulele. I can't ever remember his name.
Yes, I know very well because I spent 3 years in Hawaii. I think I never know if it's IZ or Easy is the short version of it because he's got that really long name.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
So that came on the TV and I was like, oh, this would be a great song to die to. Like this would be a perfect song to just pass away to. And my mom's eyes flew open and she was searching around looking for something. So I got up in her face, I grabbed her cheeks and I said, I'm right here. It's okay. I got everybody. A flash of terror went across her eyes and her heart stopped. And I was the only one that like witnessed that. Like my sister was still outside. My dad couldn't be in the room because, the love of his life was dying. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so they don't really warn you. Like the nurses were all really confused why that happened. It shouldn't have happened, but it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it left me with nightmares and a whole bunch of other stuff. And
I'm sure.
I didn't recognize it for what it was, the fact that I had PTSD. after the fact. And so I struggled a lot after my mom died. By the time her funeral came around, which is like almost a month later, I actually ended up laughing at her funeral because I was so messed up in the head.
Ugh. Well, big hugs to you.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. Like caregiving for anybody who's chronically ill is really rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I not only personally, but for the podcast, appreciate your raw and honest vulnerability very, very much. And I hope it not only helps me, but it helps somebody else.
Oh, for sure.
Is there any final advice, tidbits, love, whatever you want to say to leave my listeners with before we close out?
I have a weird way of dealing with things, so I don't take a lot of things too seriously, especially like chronic illnesses. I laugh at the funny when it's applicable. I don't laugh later. I laugh right now. Like when I fall or when there's a problem and like there's no like serious injury, I laugh about it. When when my chronic illnesses get me down, I make it a joke. It's my way of dealing, it's my way of coping, but try not to take all the bad so seriously. Try to find the light in it.
No, that's definitely a good reminder. That's like when I told you about my dad wanting to pour the bucket through
Yep.
his feeding tube. Like my mom was kind of like, "What?" And I was like, "It's funny. He's being funny. Laugh. It's funny."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, they get a little bit twisted. My mom got a little bit twisted too. It's funny.
Yeah. No, that's a good reminder. We need the reminder to laugh for sure.
We do.
Thank you so so much for being here, maybe, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. I will see you all next episode.